Don't ever take the N out of fences because you'll get feces. And today we are doing Fresh Tendrils by Soundgarden for Kevin Gabriel, Robert Flanagan, and Dr. Rasmus in the canoe, supporter of the cause. Dr. Rasmus in the canoe, thank you so very incredibly very much. And here we go. We're going to take this in tiny steps because it's rhythmically a lot to digest. But the first thing is the tuning, the most surmountable thing anyways. The E string is going to go down to D like you're going to drop D. But the A string is also going to go down a whole step. I believe this is the same tuning as Super Unknown, right? To G, and everything else is the same. I'm sure this tuning has a name. I'm going to call it double drop D because we drop D and then we drop this one as well, even though it's not a D. You know what I mean. Then, grab your now D string 12th fret, and your always D string 12th fret, and you're going to bounce back and forth between these two strings thusly. Then, you pluck your open D string, and then, I'm going to go back to calling the strings what they're usually called, the A and the D string 12th fret, and you can either pull off to 11, or you can slide down. That's what we saw Chris Cornell doing in some live videos. And then the open D string. So nice and slow. Happens 6 times. I have trouble counting which time I'm on because it's not divisible by 4, so I'm not sort of naturally, you know, in my bones counting along with it. But if you pay attention to the bass, Ben Shepherd plays a low note, and then a higher note, and then a higher note even than that. That's 3 notes, and then he repeats down at the lowest note. So when you get to the highest note the second time, you know you've reached the 6th time. And on said 6th time, something completely different happens. You start the same, though. But then you're going to give an up strum from the D string up, and then grab A and D 9th fret, and you can either hammer on or slide. I like hammer, Chris likes slide. And there's going to be 6 total notes there, so 9, 10, 1, 2, 3, 4. Followed by the open low D string again. So and then the verse is that 6th time over and over again. And then there's the couple of measures before the chorus happens, and this is one of those couple of measures where I always want to ask him or Chris or Matt Cameron, I suppose in this case, how did this come out of your brain? So what it's going to be is it's going to start the same. You've coming off of your just like regular, but then you go followed by so. I suggest you practice that along with me several times. One more time, nice and slow. And then there's the chorus. The chorus is not difficult, but it does not repeat at any point. It's just a string of things, so I can't suppose how one might memorize this, so you might want to write this down. But there are only 3 things in the whole thing, so let's go over the 3 things first. We're going to call this one the 10-12 one. We saw on that live version at Hyde Park, Chris Cornell go 10 across all 4 fat strings, and then just the G string goes up to 12. So So I think that's what it is, but it sounds really cool if you do the A string, D string, and G string 12th fret. It sounds kind of muddy and fat. And that low D string used to be E string, remains 10, of course. Okay, so that's the 10-12 thing, whichever way you want to do it. And then the second thing is going to be the 7-10 thing, which is very similar. We're going to start on the 7th fret of the fattest 4 strings. And then again on that live version we saw Chris just do the G string 10th fret. But it sounds cool if you do the D and the G strings. And it even sounds kind of cool if you do the A, D, and G strings, just like the 10-12 one. It sounds muddy and cool because Ben Shepherd did play that note in the fill. That kind of happens there. Okay, so 10-12 one, whichever way you want to do it. 7-10 one. And then the last one is the 12-12-12-7-7 one, which is going to be 12s on the fat strings. And then the 7 has the open D string, so open 7-7-7. Okay, all three things. And then you go the 10-12 one, the 7-10 one, the 10-12 one, the 12-7 one, the 10-12 one, the 7-10 one, and the 10-12 one. Then you go... And that's just, you know, the open low string, and 7 and 10 on the A, D, and G strings. Back into the intro. All right, I got how to remember it. You do all three. Followed by a 10-12 sandwich with the, you know, the 7-10 one in the middle. With the end tag of, followed by a 10-12 sandwich. That's helpful. Oh, and also, silly me, you do 4 percussive strums before you go into that whole chorus, so you'll be all... and so on. There's that measure where all the instruments stop and there's nothing left but drums and vocals and nothing different happens. You just don't do the portion of that verse segment. So from the one before it for context. Boom ba ba doom ba. You're into your weird. Into the chorus. And then we have this thing that chimes in. Grab G12, 10, 9, 7 into our... Right? But if you strum A, D, and G at the outset of the beginning of that, and then just pluck your G string while your A and D strings ring out, you fill up more space there. And the very last thing to mention is Kim's little part when he goes, and which is going to be hammer on, pull off G, 11, and 12 to D12, and then hammer on, pull off the same to B13. So you can throw those in there if you want. And the whole thing ends on... That was a mission. Rasmus, Doctor in the Canoe, thank you so much for the kind support with the turtle food money. Everybody else, thank you so much for being here. I hope that was helpful, and I will see you next time with more stuff. Goodbye.